Guys, Bernie General here, back with another video, and today I'm doing another video on my beautiful Dodge truck. So for those who may not know the story on this truck, Grandpa got this truck in 2003, 2002, it might have been a little before I was born, and completely restored it. He had it all restored by 2005, right? Now, around this time, I would say, well, no, maybe around 2006, 2007, I remember, he had promised this truck to me, but it developed a problem. The steering box had gotten a lot of slop in it. It still kind of has a little bit of that. It's not as bad as it was, though. But anyway, so he sold the truck without telling me. I had to find out, and that I was devastated, right? I mean, you got to think little me, this is the coolest truck in the world, even today, to me. So back then, you got to think of what I thought of this truck. But anyway, so he sells it in 2006, 2007, and maybe 2009, he buys it back. The guy he sold it to had destroyed the engine at this point. It had its original 318 in it, which it still kind of has that. But anyway, the dude had destroyed it. But, so he gets it back, gets it running, and then takes the motor out and gets it not only rebuilt, but bored out. So in other words, this 318 is not really a 318 anymore. And I'll show it to you here. Let's see if I can. There it is. This is the original engine block. This is the original headers. Everything is original here, kind of. It's the original motor, but it has been bored out from 318 cubic inches to 360 cubic inches. So this is a 360 V8. It was a 318. But I still call it a 318 just because I'm more of an all-original person. If I can ever find a good 318 to swap this one out with, I will do that because I'm very into stock restoration. It's also why I want to get some Dodge dog dish caps and steel wheels for this, and a stock steering wheel, and maybe a stock head unit. But anyway, you can see, motor's in great shape. This truck, if you're wondering, is daily driven to this day. Both me and my grandfather drive this thing on a daily basis. In fact, just yesterday, we drove it. It was maybe 3, 4 in the morning. We drove this truck down to the industrial park, and it was cold outside. But this truck is a great cold weather vehicle. It cold starts like that. It has no issues whatsoever starting in the cold, which is definitely a nice thing to have. It also doesn't do bad in hot weather. It never overheats or anything. But anyway, yeah, so, 2009, he buys it back, gets the engine rebuilt, and maybe 2012, 2013, he sold it again. He sold it to a friend of his, dude he met at a bar, really, that he didn't mean to sell it. What had happened was, he drove this truck to a bar one night, and another dude came in, he's like, hey, I'm going to buy that truck no matter what your price. Grandpa offers him the price and says, hey, think about it and come back when you're not wasted, obviously. This dude called Grandpa's bluff, shows up in a taxi the next day to pick this truck up, and has every bit of money on hand with him. So Grandpa kind of had no choice but to sell the truck. Now earlier this year, he bought this truck back. Hopefully for the final time, and we're going to keep this thing. But anyway, this truck is now dedicated to me once more. This is my truck. That's why I have Rainbow Dash just hanging in the window there. And just going to give you a little tour of the interior of a 67 Dodge. Let's get in the driver's seat, shall we? It's a very pretty truck. I don't know. There's very mixed opinions on the swept line trucks. You either love the way they look or they're butt freaking ugly. Which I'm like, yeah, it's ugly, but in a good way. It's cool ugly. Yes, I have a club, very 90s, don't care, definitely helps. But anyway, here we are in the driver's seat of the Dodge, 67 Dodge, and the first thing I'm going to say is it feels like you're in a semi-cab here. I mean, you may not be sitting high off the ground, but the way the windshield is kind of curved on the sides and it's pretty flat upright, the fact that like it's all metal in here, you don't get too much headliner, it's just sort of this piece here. Like this cab feels like you're in a big truck cab, like a dump truck cab or something, which makes sense because I think Dodge used this exact same interior all the way up to their big ass trucks. They're like big D600s and stuff like that. So that makes sense. In fact, they used this cabin up in those models too. I mean, you can see school buses from the 60s that have this exact cab on them, just, from the back, basically from the cab back, I guess, their school bus. But anyway, the first things you'll see here are the hazards, which, do they work? No, hazards don't work. I don't think that's connected. You got headlights, which do work, obviously, and some aftermarket gauges, and I'm pretty sure the only one the volt and the oil pressure, those work. Temp does not. But the original temp gauge does work. The oil pressure gauge does not work. That's why that's there, because this one doesn't work. Speedometer, you got your volts, which that works. Fuel gauge, which also works perfectly, and it's fairly accurate too. Over here you have your vent right here, so you pull this out and it opens the vent, push it in and it closes it, or it might be the other way around. I haven't tested it. You have your windshield wipers here, which you pull. This is really cool, and I wish cars still had this today. This doesn't have any low, medium, or high settings for the windshield wipers. You flip this on, and so there it's on, and then the further you twist it, the faster they'll go. So like that's max, but like it's variable, so I really like that. Anyway, automatic shifter, which at some point I'll probably put like 4 or 5 speed in here, I like manuals. This cool dash cluster pattern. Tiny steering wheel. I don't like the steering wheel for a number of reasons. One, you don't have as much leverage. I mean, this truck doesn't have power steering, so to turn it, you gotta crank this wheel. You gotta really crank this wheel. This is a heavy truck, and it has solid axle front suspension, so that doesn't help. Not to mention, it, as you can see, you're about at where I usually sit my head right now, and you can't see the gauges. You have to go like, to see the gauges is annoying. But anyway, that's why I want to get a stock steering wheel. You also have a tachometer here, which also works. Ignition switch, aftermarket radio that doesn't work anymore. Cigarette lighter thing, so yes, you can plug your phone in or whatever. Defroster. Oh crap. There it goes. Heater is frozen. Blower, which that is basically just the heater fan. You got that used to be a choke. It's not hooked up anymore. Vent for the passenger side. You got your bash bar here, which it's vaguely on there. We have a glove box to go in there. We just have not installed it yet. So the dash needs to be repainted a little. This is where the stock speaker would go, but that rotted out a long time ago. So we've got speakers back there. I don't think you can see them. Oh, there, you can kind of see them. But anyway, it's nice in here. It's very comfortable. Like, you sit down in this thing, you got plenty of leg room. You got like everything. It's really comfortable in this truck, which that's pretty much true of all classic trucks and classic cars. They're comfortable. There's no lumbar support, but they're soft and comfortable. These seats, they do their job well, which is always a plus. Going on long trips in this truck is easy as pie. But got your freaking sun visor here. Big old mirrors, which just further makes this thing feel like you're in a semi-cab. I mean, you got those big mirrors, which, again, looks like a semi-cab in here. And it feels like a semi-cab when you're driving it because it's so hard to turn and it bounces a lot. Which I don't mind, it's just, it does. Anyway, there's your vent hole. There's your AC, basically. That's all you get. Because these old Dodges were not pleasure trucks. They were work trucks. This is still a work truck. You got your dome light here, which works. That's the original bulb, too, so it's crazy. I believe it's a festoon bulb in there. I don't know, though. But, let's see. Anything else of real note? Oh, yeah. You got your e-brake right here. Huh. Ugh. And it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, blinker stock. It's a very basic truck. I mean, like, you know, today's trucks, they're like cars mixed with trucks. They're really nice. These trucks, I mean, they're cool. They're nice, kind of, but as far as features go, there's nothing. You get a truck. You don't get anything else. But I'm fine with that. I mean, like, honestly, I don't mind having features in a truck. That's fine by me. That's a good thing. It's just at the same time, I like the idea of not having those features too. Like, if I can drive this truck, then a new truck is nothing, you know? So, this truck's fun to me. As far as driving it goes, what does it feel like to drive? Feels like a very big Jeep, because the suspension kind of like, it sways, it lugs around, it feels, you know, kind of bumpy, but at the same time, it's still not horrible, really. It's just bumpy. But anyway, back on the outside. This truck is very clean. There is not many dents on this truck. In fact, I don't really think there's any aside from the bumper. I mean, the tailgate's perfect. The bed's dinged up because, as I said, we don't really treat this truck like it's some classic vehicle. We just treat it like a truck. Which is something most people don't do, these old swept-line Dodges anymore, but, oh, we do. Underneath, it is very clean. Pretty much minimal rust. You got stock suspension, stock, pretty much everything. This even has the original drum brakes in it. It just has an added master cylinder, so it's a bit easier to stop. But as you can see, solid axle front suspension. Because Dodge. I think that is hilarious that, like, Ford by this time, like, the Ford he has uses a twin I-beam. It's a 66 Ford. Chevys were using independent front suspension. Dodge just said screw it and stuck a bar of metal under their trucks. Which, I mean, it's fine. I mean, it makes it good, okay off-road. It just rides a bit bumpy. But that's fine. I mean, the soft seats make up for that. This is not stock. This is off of an 80-something Ram Charger. So, it's pretty. And one thing I've always loved about these trucks is, you see the line going right there? But right there, just that whoop, just that sweep right there. I've always loved that about swept-line Dodges. Which I think that might be exactly what they're talking about when they call it a swept-line Dodge. It literally has a swept line in the side of it. This truck was wrecked a while ago. Just a little incident. The bumper got bent, and this is all scraped, but nothing bad, nothing terrible. We've got fake louvers. You thought the Mustang was bad with fake aerodynamics? Oh, Dodge is doing it too. But they did it on their trucks for some reason. Good job, Dodge. Don't think I'm going to start it in this video because there's just no point to it. I mean, you guys have heard these trucks run before if you've watched my channel. But tell me if you guys have had any of these Dodges. I mean, I'm starting to see more videos on them being created. I mean, these trucks are starting to be dug out of the holes that they've been sitting in for, 30-odd years. But, at least this one is clean, pretty much rust-free because, it's because I live in Vegas. So all the cars around here never see any road salt. They never see snow. None of that. They're always pretty much free of any of that stuff. I mean, even this, it's like, there's no rust behind that. Well, at least not much. Clean on top. I don't know if this is unlocked or not. I guess it is. Got some hoses and the old air cleaner cap in here. Dang it. There. There we go. Spare tire. I think that's off a Jeep or something. I want to say that's a Jeep tire. Anyway, excuse me. Tell me what you guys think of the truck. Personally, as being somebody who's grown up around these, you know, we've had multiple of them just since I've been born, and we've used them quite a lot. I love this truck. I mean, there's nothing I'd rather have. And with how clean this truck is, as long as I take care of it, it'll probably outlast me. And this truck isn't a testament to classic cars are not impractical. This truck, as I said, is a daily driver. It gets driven a lot. I mean, Grandpa drives this thing on a daily basis, and whenever I need to drive, I always take this. So it never gives us any trouble. It never gives us problems at all. I mean, I think what the problem is with people dailying a stock old vehicle like this is they try to treat it like a new vehicle, you know, flooring it everywhere and not caring and, you know, speeding everywhere. These trucks and cars weren't made to go that fast. So you gotta just keep in mind that you're still driving a truck that's old, you know. So I mean, this thing will go on the highway, yeah, but I'm not gonna hit 130 on the highway. That's stupid. You know, I just have to deal with this truck's limits. But with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. With my Doge.